What's up, cinephiles? My name is TJ and welcome to Cinemateq. Unfortunately, there is no weekly news wrap-up this week, but stick around, don't click away. We're going to be talking about some projects that are going to be debuting on the channel in the very near future. They are all podcast-based, so if you are just itching for me and a couple of my friends sitting around a table talking for 45 minutes, maybe an hour, on some of the films that maybe you are interested in hearing about, then I think this might be the channel for you. I think you finally found a place to call your home on this wacky, weird, wild website known as YouTube. The first show is called Nostalgia Goggles, and the purpose of this show is for a member of the 3 to 4 person team of people that we're gonna have doing this roundtable, picking a film that was near and dear to them when they were children, and then presenting it to the rest of us. Hopefully, all of these other people haven't seen the film, so then we can have discussions on the film based around how nostalgia colors our perception and our experience with a film. As I've said before, on this channel we are not interested in evaluative language. We're not going to be talking about whether or not the films are good or bad. We're just going to be talking about the films, how they make us feel, and what we can learn from them. And considering that I think we're going to be watching a lot of B-grade action films from the 80s, there's probably a lot of things that we can learn from these. The first film that we're going to be talking about was picked by my good friend Tim, who you haven't met yet, but I guarantee to you, he is a funny man, he's a good man. I'm sure he's going to appreciate this little shout out I'm giving him right now. The film that he picked is called Rad, and he made a challenge to me. He asked me to look at this film poster and just try to guess what the plot is, to which I replied, well, it looks like the Predator has turned his sights to a more important target, BMX bikers and heteronormative teenage couples. I have no idea if I'm right, and I can't wait to find out, and I can't wait to share the results with you on Nostalgia Goggles, coming in, a few weeks? Let's say a few weeks. The next podcast coming your way is called A24 Cult. This is kind of an inside joke at the office that has spread. It started between the voice behind the camera, Rob, who you've heard before. Yes, that is Rob behind the camera and no one else. And my good friend Tim, who I just mentioned. And whenever an A24 distributed film releases a trailer or news about it comes out, we're always talking about it. We're always very excited to see what new and cool and weird stuff A24 has decided to put out. I think that right now they're my most trusted distributor of new films, and they often let me down. It's true. But the films that they put out always try something, and I'm always appreciative of the effort. And so with this podcast, we are going to go chronologically through A24's back catalog and discuss the films, discuss how they fit into the overall style of A24, for lack of a better word. And we're going to talk about what makes a film an A24 film. What films do they actually go after? And of course, we're just going to discuss the films. Not as good, not as bad, but just talk about them, how they make us feel. And I think these are going to be really fun conversations. We're going to be going through all the films chronologically, but when a new film comes out, you best believe that we are going to be at the theater watching it and talking about it as soon as humanly possible. If you were watching the news wrap-up last week, you know that I'm super excited for The Lighthouse. Part of the reason I'm excited for that film is that A24 is releasing it, so you can expect us to do an episode on that sometime in the near future. But the first episode, well, that needs to be dedicated to the very first film distributed by A24, a glimpse inside the mind of Charles Swan III. It stars Charlie Sheen, and he's a real messed up dude. So I can only imagine what kind of film he signed on to that A24 looked at and said, yes, this is the film that we want to release first. Now those first two podcasts, Nostalgia Goggles and A24 Cult, those are going to be ongoing series. This next one is a limited series that I'm doing with a good friend of mine. You may know him on YouTube as Dr. Udru. I know him as Andrew, one of the funniest people in the world, in my opinion. And he and I have a deep love and appreciation for horror films. So we thought it would be a great idea to do a limited series podcast, 4 episodes long, where each of us pick 2 films from the Shudder streaming service and talk about them in the Cinemateq way. Doesn't matter if it's good, doesn't matter if it's bad. We just want to highlight films that we have always wanted to see and talk about why we wanted to see them, and talk about those smaller gems that we think people may have overlooked and maybe need a little bit of a push to actually go see. Plus, we both feel that keeping the films confined to Shudder actually makes it easier for people to join in on the conversation. With all of these podcasts, we want you, the viewer, to be commenting down below and to tell us what you think about our wild opinions. Now, I have no idea what Dr. Udru is going to be picking for his 2 picks, but I can tell you that for me, one of mine is absolutely going to be The Changeling. It is a Canadian horror film made in the 80s. It stars George C. Scott. It has been on my watch list for literal years, and I am finally going to just sit down and watch it. I am very excited for that, and I hope you're excited to listen to this discussion and to comment along when the video actually goes up. As this is a horror-themed podcast, those 4 episodes will be going live every week in October. So definitely come back to the channel and check those out when the spooky season arrives. All right, cinephiles, those are the 3 podcast projects that we have coming up. I'm really excited for you to see them and to hear the discussions that we have. And one thing that I want all of you to remember is that this is a growing community. There are going to be new people coming in here all the time that have their own ideas and who are going to want different kinds of content. If you have an idea for a podcast that you would like us to explore, tell us. Tell us in the comments below. If A24 is not your thing, but you're really into neon pictures and you would prefer that as a podcast, that's something that we can look into. I have no problem with that. The important thing is that we keep having good, honest discussions about film. Now, with all that said, we are at the end of this video. If you liked it, if you like these ideas, please hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and leave a comment down below so we know what you think about all of the stuff coming your way on Cinemateq in the future. My name is TJ. You've been great. I'm gonna go on vacation now. Actually, no, I'm already on vacation. I'm having a great time not being in the office, even though my boss is in the room right now. I love working here. Please don't fire me.